Greetings, welcome once again to our daily Bible devotion. We look at a chapter from the Bible each and every day. We have been following the story of what is as narrated in 1 Samuel, and we're currently in 1 Samuel chapter 19. 1 Samuel chapter 19. But before I look into this section, let us close our eyes with a word of prayer. Our gracious Father in heaven, Lord, thank you for being our God. Continue, Lord, to teach us, to guide us. Lord, help us to learn the most from your messages and help us to apply them in our everyday lives. This is my humble prayer in your mighty name, Lord. Amen. Okay, so 1 Samuel chapter 19, my verse of consideration today is verses 10. 1 Samuel 19 verse 10, it reads as follows. Then Saul sought to pin David to the wall with the spear, but he slipped away from Saul's presence and he drove the spear into the wall. So David fled and escaped that night. May the Lord add a blessing to his word now and forevermore. Amen. Okay, so in this section, we're learning how Saul continued to be provoked by the presence of David. See, David never did anything to provoke Saul. David continued to obey Saul. He continued to show Saul respect, the respect that, he felt he deserved because he was the king. Okay, so David did everything in his power to just abide by what Saul was instructing him to do. He was that kind of a person. He was a humble person. However, God had chosen David to be the king. And so God was using David to conquer. So the greater victories always came through David. Okay, it was always through David that the children of Israel received the most victory and the most, recovery and just deliverance, because it was always because of David. Even though Saul was there, David was the one bringing the victory home. And so this bothered Saul, each and every time, he will be okay with it, but then a certain spirit will overpower Saul, and it bothered him, and he just hated David, and he wanted to see David dead. And so he made so many attempts to get rid of David, to kill David. And so one of the things he does is just throw his spear. He does this so many times. He throw his spear, so that David can just be pinned on the wall. So just if I aim and I just, as he's playing the harp, because David would play the harp for Saul. David would play the harp and Saul's spirit would be calmed. So as he would do that, Saul would just throw his spear and hope that it'll just pin David and he'll die like that. But each and every time he tried that, God was there to protect David. So David always came out of that, alive. So this one time in chapter 19, David then decides, this is not safe for me, I need to get out from the presence of Saul. He wants my life. And Saul's son, Jonathan, who is now also a very good friend of David, these were now best friends, he wants to speak to Saul on behalf of David, and he tells him, David actually did nothing wrong to you, right? Let's give David another chance. And Saul apparently listens to this, and David is now brought back and he stays with Saul once again. But once again, Saul repeats the same act of wanting to kill David, and David just knows to run for his life. As a matter of fact, he goes on and he searches for David wherever he is. He finds him. His wife helps him to escape. Saul is strongly wanting David dead. Now everybody else knows that Saul wants David's life, and so he sends messengers. Throughout the whole of, wherever David would have gone, he sends messengers. Find him, kill him. I want him dead. And so they also follow him, and David runs towards Samuel, and Samuel is there to protect him, and messengers are sent. They arrive there, they start to prophesy. More messengers are sent, they arrive there, they start to prophesy. Saul goes by himself to find David. He also goes and he prophesies, So what I learned from this section is the importance of understanding that things will happen when God intends for them to happen. So when the time is right for certain things to happen, they will happen. When the time is not right, when God has not yet purposed for certain things to happen in our lives, they simply will not happen. So even though Saul had planned for David to be dead, God had planned for David to live. And so Saul's plan for David's life is nothing compared to what God has planned for David's life. And so because of that, the time for David's life to come to an end has not yet arrived, right? And so if it hasn't arrived, there's nothing no one else can do about it, because God's time is the time that actually prevails, right? It is the time that prevails. And so whatever he does, whatever efforts he does, they will all come in vain up until God's time time is in alignment with that. And so in this chapter, it was never, purposed by God. And so God continues to rescue David, because David needs to be king. David has got to deliver the Israelites. God has got awesome plans for David, and he needs David alive. Okay. And so David was protected from this situation. So also we, on this concept of time, if we have, or we in need of certain opportunities in life, if we are not yet ready, if the time has not yet arrived for us to receive certain opportunities, it's better that we don't. Okay. So a lot of things happen, both good as well as bad. They happen, and we benefit most from them when the time is right. Okay. When the time is right, you will enjoy that marriage. When the time is right, you will enjoy those riches. When the time is right, you will have that, or you'll enjoy that health. Okay. When the time is right, you will enjoy your success and your victories. Okay. And so it is very important that we also understand that God's time, all right, is also part of the equation. So God will have a plan. He has a plan for our lives. So that's why he created all of us. Okay. He has a plan for our lives. And so let us make it a habit to turn to God and say, Lord, okay, what is it that you've purposed for my life? Because I know, Lord, at your specified time, things are going to happen. Okay, so that's what I see here. So no matter what anyone else can do, if it is not yet God's time, nothing can be done about it. And if it is God's time, nothing can be changed about it either. Okay, because God is going to ensure that things will happen, at his perfect time. Okay, so even when we ask things from God, let us acknowledge that at the right time he will give them to us, because sometimes we may assume we are ready to receive what we ask from God, but sometimes we're actually not ready. We want, yes, our heart desires, but we actually are not ready to receive. Okay, because everything we receive, remember, every blessing always comes with a responsibility, right? Yeah, so let us understand the importance of waiting upon God. Let's allow God to unfold certain things at his right time, because when they come with God's time, we also start to appreciate them more. We start to value them more, because we would have seen the process. Okay, and that there's something that we learn even through the process of waiting for God's time and allowing things to happen according to God's time. Okay, so yes, it is my prayer for today that God shows us, okay, and he helps us to wait upon him, okay, and also understand that if it is his intention for our lives, okay, things will happen. If it is not his intention, things will simply not happen. Okay, so let us make strong bonds with God. Okay, so God is going to be by our side, is going to help to orchestrate things our way the best and all the time. Okay, well, I'd like to also hear what you picked up from this section. Let's continue to learn together, grow together, okay, develop one another, okay, and yeah, do share in the comment section below what you also picked up from this section. Well, that is my sharing for this section. Let's close our eyes with a word of prayer as I end the session. Our gracious Father in heaven, Lord, thank you for being a God who is there for us, Lord. Thank you for being a God who has a purpose for all of us, Lord. Thank you for being a God who continues to guide us and who orchestrates our life. Lord, help us to be able to understand that things will happen at your time, Lord, and understand that your time is best, Lord, and that, Lord, when we align ourselves with you and when we form that strong bond with you, Lord, you will ensure that plans that you have established for us, Lord, will not change, Lord, but instead will always, come out stronger, will always come out better, because we'll be protected and guided by you, Lord, and things will always work out at your perfect time. Lord, this is my humble prayer in your mighty name, Lord. Amen. Have a good one. Take care.